All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to recap the Mets versus Brewers series along with all the latest news and rumors in New York Mets land. Before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show following every single regular season series, which are recorded live right here. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. Make sure for our audio listeners to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 226 of our show. And Andrew, it's you and me here. The Mets go into Milwaukee. They play a team basically 7 margins ahead of them, one of the best teams in all of baseball. I was kind of surprised that they stole one. But to be honest, we all know what the main focus is as of right now. You are 10 days away from the MLB trade deadline. And we do expect this team, of course, to be sellers because they suck. They're terrible. We will get into what happened along with this series with analysis. But again, I think everybody's focus right now, for good reason, is this trade deadline, which you hope is pivotal, considering the stipulations and considering the condition of possibly the league next year. But again, we can still get back into this, right? We're not that far away, right? I mean, unless we might actually just be done. I don't know. I'm flipping heads or tails of it.
Yeah, I mean, again, these games do not mean anything anymore, except for the young players. That's pretty much it. Right now, it's the only thing worth watching this team. And like you said, when you're going against the Brewers, and the Brewers are one of the, if not the best, they're not going to win the World Series. They're going to be in the NLCS and be a really good team. And you're not in their class. And to win the game, which was fun, which they played, at least in the second game, like you usually play, and sloppy and making a bunch of fundamental mistakes, was nice to take advantage of. And again, you saw some bright spots, and obviously, we'll talk about later. But you also see some continued absolute embarrassments by some players, and we'll get into that in a bit after we watch that beautiful highlight pack. But again, at this point, I really don't care about any of these games if it's not started by the kids. I literally am just like, in the next 10 games or whatever, 8, how many we play at the deadline, it should be, and this is going to infuriate people. Play Lou Bob, play these guys just to see if anyone would want them. And then once we get post deadline, I don't care. Even if Jared Young, we love Jared Young, we're pro Canadian. Enough Jared Young at the back half after the deadline. Just put Clifford at first every day and just play the youth. Because, again, you have to examine what you have going in the next year. And, again, we know what Jared Young is. He's fine. And especially if somebody wants him, by God, take him. If you get an asset for a Jared Young, if there's a team calling. I mean, no phone should ever be on decline unless you're talking about, the youth and Soto. But right now, it's just another series that, you just put in the back pocket. We're already done. Thank God it's over. You lost 2 out of 3. You expected a sweep. So you at least beat my expectations. And we had some bright spots, but again, there's always low spots to a team when you're that bad. Even when you play good teams, you look outclassed, and we'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think there's any really thing that we can report except pointing out exactly what went wrong, of the continued trend of what they continue to choose to do wrong for no reason. And I think a lot of that has to do with them playing a certain someone in right field that they did yesterday, which costed them the series win. But that's pretty much just been the story of this season. The shoulda, woulda, coulda. Oh, they lost runs here, they lost runs there. Because this is just not a well put together team. And that's, I think, basically how we can say is the conclusion of the 2026 Mets. They're not good. They're one of the worst teams in all of baseball. Should they have been better? Possibly, but they aren't. And the reality of the situation is they're going to be sellers at the deadline, and for good reason. We're going to get into that. But first and foremost, let's get into the full rundown of this series. Game 104, 105, and 106 of 162. Mets versus Brewers. Roll the tape. Continuing a 6-game road trip out of the break, Freddie Peralta would return home to Milwaukee, and it did not go well. First inning, runner on, Bryce Terang would open the scoring with an RBI double into the right field corner, plating Jackson Chourio. Later on, runner at second, 2 out, Garrett Mitchell would plate Terang with an RBI single to right field, putting the Brewers up 2-0 after 1. Next inning, shortstop Cooper Pratt would launch his first career home run in the big leagues, a solo shot extending the lead to 3. The Mets would get one back in the road third. Runners at the corners, no one out. Juan Soto would ground into a 6-4-3 double play as Francisco Alvarez would come in to score to get New York on the board. But right after, in response in the home third, runner at second, 2 out, Andrew Vaughn would scorch a 2-run homer to the bullpens in left center, 5-1 Brewers. Fast forward to the 6th, Peralta would exit with 2 on and 1 out for Xavier Curry, who would surrender a 3-run homer to Joey Ortiz to the left field corner, extending the Brewers' lead to 7 and closing the book on Peralta. 5 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts on 107 pitches. The Mets offense would come alive too little too late. Top 8, second and third, 1 out. Francisco Lindor would plate Juan Soto with an RBI ground out to the right side. Next batter, Jorge Polanco would plate Bo Bichette with an RBI single to right field to make it a 5-run game. Xavier Curry would pitch the remainder of the game, tossing 2 2/3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts on 47 pitches, as the Mets would drop the series opener in Milwaukee 8-3. In Game 2, New York would get off to a quick start against former Mets pitching prospect Brandon Sproat. Second inning, Jared Young would send a towering blast to the right field bullpen, his 7th of the year, to open the scoring, making it 1-0 New York. Fast forward to the 5th, second and third, 2 out. Carson Bench would plate a pair with a 2-run single past Bryce Terang and into right field, scoring Bo Bichette and Francisco Lindor, extending the Mets lead to 3-0. Mets pitching prospect Zach Thornton would make his 4th career MLB start and was stellar once again, pitching through the 6th and ending his day with 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts on 81 pitches. As Luke Weaver would get the 7th and toss a 1-2-3 inning on 15 pitches. In the road 8th, Luis Robert Jr. would add some insurance with a monstrous 451-foot missile to the concourse in left center, a solo shot, his 3rd of the year. Brooks Raley would pitch the home 8th and toss a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout, and Devin Williams would get the 9th and work around a leadoff single for a scoreless inning, getting William Contreras to fly out to end it, securing Zach Thornton's first major league win and evening up the series 4-0. And in the series finale, the Mets would grab an early lead in the 2nd inning against rookie right-hander Logan Henderson. Marcus Semien would launch his 10th home run of the year to the left field bullpen, opening up the scoring for the game, but that would not last long as the Brewers would respond against Christian Scott in the home 2nd. First and third, 2 out, Joey Ortiz would give Milwaukee the lead with a 2-run triple that would be misplayed in right field by Brett Beatty, plating Garrett Mitchell and Andrew Vaughn. Next batter, Christian Yelich would bring in Ortiz with an RBI single to left field, putting the Brewers up 3-1 after 2. Scott would only pitch into the 4th and exit with 2 out and 2 on for Cioniel Perez. He would get Christian Yelich to ground out to close the book on Scott. 3 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts on 89 pitches. In the road 5th, Brett Beatty would get one back with his 6th home run of the year to the right field bullpen, getting the Mets within a run. Perez would come back out for the 5th and exit with a bases-loaded jam for Huascar Brazaban, who would induce a 6-4-3 double play to keep it a 1-run game. Brazaban would come back out for the 6th and get the first 2 outs, but surrender a ground rule double underneath the third base tarp, leading to his exit for A.J. Minter. Runner at second, 2 out, Christian Yelich would put the Brewers back up by 2 with an RBI triple over the head of A.J. Ewing in center field, scoring Joey Ortiz. Minter would come back out for the 7th and exit with a runner on and 2 out for Daniel Duarte, who would finish the 7th and toss a scoreless 8th with a strikeout. After getting the tying run to the plate in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, Francisco Alvarez would get the Mets a little closer with an RBI single to left field, scoring Tyrone Taylor from second to get the Mets within a run once again. But Trevor McGill would get A.J. Ewing to ground out to end it, as the Mets would drop 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, 4-3. With just 10 days to the MLB trade deadline, the Mets are now 43-60 on the year, returning home for a 9-game homestand starting tomorrow night against the Dodgers at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, so there's your full rundown of this series. The Mets lose 2 out of 3 to a Milwaukee team that is one of the best in all of baseball. Record-wise, I don't know if they're like tied with the Dodgers for the best in all of the National League and in all of baseball. Listen, they're a good team pretty much every single year. They're a sustainable winner, a place where David Stearns came from, and it's been a little bit different of a story since he has come over here. We already know the story on that, but it basically just shows you the microcosm of it in this first game, and that being Freddie Peralta, who returns home, has this big homecoming, gets plenty of ovations from Milwaukee fans. Of course, they were very appreciative of him. He was there for 8 seasons, had a great career with them. It has not been gone so well with him being with the Mets, and basically first one out of the gate, Freddie Peralta, again, with the trade deadline value continuing to drop the way that it has been because he's just been god-awful. He now has an earned run average that has eclipsed 5 now. Out of the gate, I mean, listen, first inning, walks the first batter, again, gets behind in the count, walks the second batter, and then Bryce Terang doing the Bryce Terang things and opens the lead. And then he just basically gets contact to death in that first inning, gives up the first home run of Cooper Pratt's young career. And then Andrew Vaughn takes him deep in the next inning. He really just could not get into a groove throughout those first 3 innings. And then at least he did pitch into the 6th inning, but they were pretty much out of the game by then. 3-run homer goes over the wall from Jory Ortiz, the first batter faced by Xavier Curry. 7 runs are charged to Freddie Peralta. I mean, we're getting some reports about Freddie Peralta and his trade market, and we'll get into that in general. But, Andrew, I mean, are we really, really surprised? I mean, sometimes you see revenge matches against the Mets when former Mets come here, and then they start to settle in of what once was. But on the other side, Freddie Peralta goes to Milwaukee, gets absolutely shelled, looks like crap, like he usually has been. To be honest, I did not really expect anything else, and he's been absolutely nothing but a disappointment. And we'll see what the trade value looks like for him. He probably does still have the pedigree button on him, but I mean, you'd really hope that he has like one quality start left in him before he leaves. Not for the sake of the team winning, because it's not like it matters, but the sake of this trade value, which continues to drop every single day that he takes the mound for this team.
Yeah, it's not been pretty, and it's not going to get the next time he's throwing is against the Dodgers, most likely. So that's also not great.
No.
Yes, it's not helping. I mean, again, you look at it, this is like, you would think, okay, like you said, every time, usually, you want a revenge game. But for some reason, and he's put this Met jersey on, and he can't even be his normal self, which, again, we said in the offseason, like, he's not an ace, but he can give you a 3.5 ERA and, give you 5 to 6, 5 and fly with a 3.5 ERA. You take that. He has completely imploded, and there have been some things, people have said his arm angle has changed, his extension's not as good as it was in the past, and for at least, again, with the big part of it, talking about like an inquiring team who can maybe try to fix that, but also you're getting to a situation where it's like, okay, yeah, but you're only going to get him for like 7 starts, if that. Can you fix him in 7 starts? And like, again, I would trust like a Tampa Bay, a Milwaukee, the Dodgers, like, the teams that are interested in him and still have interest in him, I would have faith that they could fix him. And especially, there's those short little tells that we've seen come out that potentially he can fix. But yet, again, him, and even like last time, it's like, oh, he was, changing, going to having call his own pitches. You think, okay, that maybe would get him going. It doesn't. And then this kind of showed the kind of player he is. And again, the fact that you're facing your own team and you don't have that hyped up, even the velocity, even the first pitch, I think the fastball was like 94. How would you not jack the hell up on adrenaline? Brandon Sproat, a perfect example. Sproat the next day, facing his former team, jacked up throwing 100 in the first inning. And that's just what Brandon Sproat always does. He's always first inning, putting it all out, and then he calms down. But you didn't even have the juice to say, I want to stick it to these guys. And also, you're kind of auditioning for them to get reacquired, and this is what you give them: 94-mile-an-hour cookies, that fastballs that you can't locate, and the slider is horrific. So your two best pitches have been an abomination, and this is what you paid for it. Everyone's like, well, you traded two top 100 prospects. One sucks. One is a small player who's stuck in AAA, has been hurt and has been awful. Brandon Sproat, probably a 4-starter with the Brewers. Would I be surprised if he has a year where he has a sub-3 ERA? No, because it's in the Brewers pitching factory. I get it. It was a lot to the generic default fan that sees pipeline rankings. It sucks because, again, how bad he's pitched. I still think you maybe get a quarter of what you gave up because, again, pitching is always at a premium. Yeah. And, again, like I said, the smart pitching organizations will probably still risk it. Again, every start is making me think less and less that I thought pretty confidently we would at least get a back half 100 prospect for this guy. The more, it's not helping is, at least the impression that I've had because how bad he's been. But I still think, again, how pitching is, it's very expensive at deadlines, even for bad ones. I still think you get a piece back that you can okay, that's decent, you can hold your hand on, but he's not doing this team any favors right now, and not even pitching well to help the team win like he didn't do in the first half, and then not even, the Luis Robert from last year with the White Sox, like, oh, I'm going to get traded? Let me at least get good for 2 weeks, and then maybe I get traded. He can't even do that. So, right now, it's a mess, and, fans are having the conversation, oh, this is the worst trade in Mets history, bro. This isn't even top 15. I get it. It's bad, but, the hyperbolic being oh, this is one of the worst trades in Mets history. No, it's bad. It's not even on 3 Mount Rushmores before we're getting to this. It's bad, don't get me wrong, but, again, you didn't give up anything. And it's oh, this is, it's a bad trade, again, if you give up a piece. Again, the Baez trade's a bad trade because you gave up an MVP candidate. You gave up a little person, and you gave up a 4-starter, and you got a 5-starter. So the value is not going to kill you. So, but again, it's not helping, and every start he keeps having is not helping his potential outlook on getting some value back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the swing and miss numbers are still there on his stuff, and that's the thing that I feel like, again, the problem is that it's more of just the fact that he is really continuing to waste bullets throughout every single inning that he is tossing. I'm pretty sure I saw a stat beforehand, or somebody brought it up in our chat while we were doing the watch along, that he has a 20-pitch inning in pretty much every single one of his starts. And listen, we know that he's been seen as 5-inning Freddy, and sometimes he goes 5 and fly, and he's not the frontline guy that everybody was capitalizing him as. But it's more of just the fact of, where pitch execution in so much difference in the full-on detail that we already know that he is calling his own pitches. And now he's going on his own sequence, and we're not really seeing any difference whatsoever. And to be honest, I will say he really has suppressed hard contact better than a lot of people think that he has, which is why it's so crazy to me that he has been giving up as many home runs as he has, considering how he has been avoiding, that barrel zone or avoiding the heart of the plate. I'm just going to guess that, the sequence is really starting to be predictable with what is going on with Freddie Peralta. And, the extension right now this year, a 54th percentile in 2026 compared to an 81st percentile last year. I mean, that is over that's over almost half, a quarter of a foot difference. That's a lot different, especially from a guy who is not completely short. He's 6'1", right? It's a lot different from what we are seeing. And I do see as to why other teams are seeing this and saying, hey, there are adjustments that he'll probably be able to make. The problem is that the way that it's being publicly perceived, there is no favors that are being helped for this guy as of right now, because we're seeing him publicly say, I don't know what's going on. I have absolutely no idea what the problem is. I don't have an answer. That's not what you want to hear from a trade deadline candidate. No. And again, if there's other teams that are looking at it like that, or are they seeing that publicly, and maybe they're just like, oh, this guy needs our help, I can save him. But again, the trade value continues to go down. And again, I just don't know what type of situation they're in as of right now where they can just be like, yeah, we're going to use this as a loss, and it is a loss. It'll continue to be a loss. And they're just going to be like, hey, we'll take whatever. Just get him out of here so we can evaluate other more talent throughout the rest of the year, such as pitching talent, which there are some guys who have yet to make their debuts in the minor leagues, such as Jack Wenninger and such as, if you give a look to Santucci, but I don't think he's coming up this year.
Probably not.
The thing is that, again, I'm very worried again with not just what they will get, not what they get back, because to be honest, I'm also just kind of worried about if they're going to actually trade enough this deadline. And to be honest, at the rate that we're going right now with Freddie Peralta, let's say he has 2 more starts, because he likely has either 1 or 2 more starts with the Mets. Let's say, we get, that earned run average balloons up to near 6 right before that trade deadline. And it's crazy to think about, like, when we're having this conversation in comparison to what we were seeing with Freddie Peralta going in. Like, is there a possibility that this gets even worse in the matter of 2 weeks, where you're like, maybe the Mets can't really get anything back for him and might have to just keep him and QO him? Like, have we ever got that thought that could possibly happen? I don't want that to happen, to be honest, because I think we're beyond damage beyond repair now. But what exactly can you compare here to what you're going to get back? And again, I do think he's going to still have a market because of the pedigree and the career that he has had. A little bit similar to how we were having it with Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, but again, that's different pedigree. Again, I would say that right now, it's just been a bad go. And it's not just the fact of him being on a down year or not being as great. It's the fact that the guy has basically just been a black hole in your rotation for a majority of the season, where as the season goes on, you can't maintain winning baseball with him on the mound. You may have been able to do it in the first few weeks of the season or the first few starts, but as the clunkers continue to add up, like, exactly who's lining up as of right now to give up anything of return? Or are the Mets just like, hey, just get rid of him, just move on, expiring deal, get something back for him? But like, I'm just very nervous they're not going to sell enough with this team, because I was again, like I already say, they did not get rid of enough last year when they moved on. Like, I have that same fear. I don't know if I have that fear with Freddie Peralta, but because I do think that he is out of here. But it's not that far off to where he's facing the Dodgers. Who would he be lining up to afterwards if he has a second start? It would be Dodgers and then
Marlins. Is it? Yeah,
both of those teams can blow him up.
Yeah, I think it's the Marlins.
If it's Dodgers then Marlins, both of those teams can drop 8 runs on him. I'm not saying that it'll get that bad, but we already said it's like, oh, well, it can't get that bad, right? It can't get that bad, right? Well, it has gotten that bad with Freddie Peralta. He's been one of the worst starting pitchers in all of baseball this year.
Yeah. I've seen a lot, again, as most of us are. We're all, on the internet and content creators, and we all have our favorites, and we also have our least favorites. The draft pick thing is weird to me in the sense of, yeah, you can QO him, and again, if he comes back, whatever. If not, you get the draft pick. I think you're only getting a 4th round pick because of the penalties you have. So if you're telling me I could get 3 assets, let's say 3 lottery ticket 18-year-old DSL guys, or a fourth round pick in next year's class, I'm taking the DSL guys because again, that's the quantity of assets.
Yeah, of course.
And the fact that we have so many people being like, "Oh,
you obviously don't want to give a raise to Freddie after this year, too." Like,
but
the qualifying offer, I'm pretty sure, is like what, $22 million now.
It's now. Hopefully, this is the last year, and also you have that as a negative to him. But yet, we say that, but yet we see what free agent pitching goes for, and that's again. Toss money, so it's not again. It's insane.
Well, I think if it's over $50 million, right? Don't we get a second or whatever?
If he declines it, and then he goes yes, but you would have to. But again, do you expect the team to give him that? And that's the game you play. Like I could see him not being a jackass, but I could see like the Rays giving like a 2 for $40 with a player option on the second year. Like it's something like that.
2 for $49.
Exactly, just to piss us off. So like I get it. Like, well, if you don't get top value. Again, right now, you're in a seller's market. In a sense that you as of now, control the pitching market because we don't know what's going on with Skubal. We don't know. Is Joe Ryan available?
It's just of what has been making public. That's basically what I'm saying. It's like where he's going out there and saying, well, I don't have any answers.
And him saying that, no, it's not. Like, that's the
it doesn't help. Like, that's the thing. And if it continues to get bad, where he's facing a team like the Dodgers who can blow up any team, they can just beat the shit out of anyone.
Yeah.
And then
we say that they barely.
Then you have the Marlins who can, death by 1,000 paper cuts. We know how they play.
Yeah.
And let's say this earned run average balloons up to 6. And we continue to hear, oh, I have no answers, I have no answers, I have no answers. Well, where exactly are you going to assess the trade market there? Because again, we continue to get reports after every single start he makes. The market is falling. The market is falling. The market is falling. And I'm like, is this going to get to a point? Because it could get to a point where you're like, we probably can't even trade this guy.
Yeah, that's I just, you cannot. I get it. Like, if you give him the qualifying, he accepts it, fine. But you're also banking
because things move quick. That's the thing. Like, things move quick. Like, these teams might just, like, maybe they might just call you for Clay Holmes instead.
Yeah. And I think, obviously, right now, he has extremely more value because, again, he hasn't deteriorated his value. And because, again, he's injured. He's not. He's hurt. He's not injured. He just broke his leg because of a BS line drive off his foot. Like, it happens. Like, it's not an arm problem. So teams are seeing that. And the fact that, again, he's going to, and here's another thing, which, again, I should say it for the trade section. I'll say it for the trade section. Let's get to game 2.
So, I mean, game 2, I do want to shed some light on Zach Thornton because, once again, he has himself a fantastic outing. 6 scoreless innings, was working quick, very efficient, probably could have went out there for the 7th inning, but it seems like they've been capping him out at that 85 pitch mark. I don't know if that's just basically the adjustment from going to, a weekend's rest, considering the minor leagues where, you have the off day Monday and things like that. It could be a possibility, but either way, I love exactly what we have seen from Zach Thornton. I mean, it's been very, very impressive. I love how he attacks hitters. I love how he gets ahead in the count. I love how he likes to utilize cutters, not only just to left-handed hitters, but also to right-handed hitters, saying, hey, I'm not afraid to get ahead in the count, even though you got me from a certain angle, and I don't throw this pitch as hard. I really do like his mentality on the mound. I think that this is, again, going to only, just start off what we expect, because, again, you could have fall off at any point. It happens. He will probably have a clunker towards the end of the season. Who knows? He's not going to maintain the 1.93 earned run average he has as of right now. And some people were arguing with me on Twitter and going after me when I said that in the major leagues, he is a 5-starter. He might be a 4, he might be a 5-starter, but there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. And some people are going after me because obviously we have to go with the recency bias. And everyone's like, oh no, this guy's an ace. He's got an ERA under 2. No. The guy sits in the low 90s. He's a contact management guy. If you watched the start he had in Milwaukee, even though, listen, Milwaukee has some really good hitters that they continue to develop. They're really, really good at it. They really know how to bring in balanced hitters. He was getting bailed out by his defense a little bit. But not to also in the other comparison to a guy like David Peterson who falls behind in the count and has to force the zone and needs the defense to bail him out a little bit. You had some really, really good plays behind him. AJ Ewing played a fantastic left field, a position he hasn't really played as much. Either way, he has really shown the confidence in his stuff, attacked hitters, not working around the strike zone, using his arsenal because he has a really good arsenal as well. Good assortment of pitches, shall we say.
Yeah, jump throw.
But we all know that he doesn't have top-notch stuff. He doesn't.
No.
It's below average.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's all really just about location, and that's fine. That's fine. Not everybody needs to be an ace. But when you talk about, the development of these young pitchers, Nolan McLean starting to grab his footing once again after that little small bump he had, 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. Christian Scott, who we'll get into in that third game, has also been pretty good in small spurts. Zach Thornton, somebody who was probably not at the top of the radar for anybody in the middle of the pipeline. He comes in here, as of right now, guns blazing, being able to get deeper into games in comparison to what pretty much a majority of our rotation hasn't been able to do. Going deep into games, giving you 6 innings, a solid performance. So obviously, I'm not trying to sit here and kind of plug everybody into the rotation because I do still think that there's a lot of things that need to be ironed out individually with these guys. McLean, there's still some things he does need to work on to be the featured arm in this rotation if you do look at him as that in the future. Christian Scott, I still think that there's a little bit of a cap on him. I still think that they're treating him with kid gloves a little bit to where they're not trying to have him, waste a lot of bullets, and they're kind of just, not getting him to that 100 pitch mark, mostly sitting around the 80, 85 pitches. And then you get to Zach Thornton, who again, in reality, when you talk about the laws of averages, this will be a back-end starter, in my opinion. If he becomes anything better than that, it's an added bonus. But I believe that he is going to be a back-end starter. This is back-end type of stuff. It's contact management, but there's nothing wrong with that. Like Andrew, we're not saying that as a critique. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having young talent in your rotation that, who knows, maybe has a little bit higher of a ceiling, but there's nothing wrong with a high floor either, which is what he's basically shown so far. A high floor pitcher who could be very sturdy in the back end of your rotation. Perfect.
Yeah, he's worked himself into guaranteed being in the mix. I've seen too many people. Oh, guaranteed. He's guaranteed to have a spot next year. No, but he's in the mix. I see him the same way we looked at Tyler, how we hated Tyler McGill and David Peterson for so long. I think he's not guaranteed to be the 5th starter, but if he's the 6th guy, first guy in Syracuse next year, and he's the first call up, you love it because that's that, and you need these type of guys for free because you expect. Again, I say this with our GM, nothing expected happens, but you would expect them to take a shot at Tarek Skubal. You would expect them to continue to add to this rotation. And you obviously have McLean, who we think is upper third of the rotation guy. Scott, we'll see. And then you have Thornton, who's been really good. Again, don't look at the expected numbers, but result, man, really good. And like I said, he throws you junk. He's got a good mix. He throws everything at you. And again, if he's your 6th starter, and if he continues to pitch great, and you can guarantee him he's your 5, I mean, that's what he is. And he's free. You take all the free type of pitchers you can develop, and again, we'll see what happens. Again, I will expect we see Wettinger in the back half of the season. Jonah Tong is still hanging around here. Like I said, I don't expect Santucci, but hell, this season means anything. Maybe in September you give him a start or two just to give him his debut. The last 2 weeks of September, maybe you see Santucci, but again, you need this young. It's a couple of these guys. I don't need them to be aces. I don't even need them to be mid-rotation guys. Can you just be serviceable fill-in depth? Because you need serviceable fill-in depth because you have injuries all the time in the rotation. So you need 8 to 10 to 15 to 18 starters sometimes. Dodgers have 22. If you can continue to develop just guys that you can, if you need to call, and Zach Thornton's been great, and again, recency bias says he's the 3rd best pitcher in his rotation, or best pitcher, better than Christian Scott, recency bias. But again, it's nice to continue to have. I'm not, putting him in Cy Young conversations. He's fine. He's great. And, it's a good story. But again,
he's not an eyes glued to the TV type of guy. You know what I mean? He's a guy of just like, someone you could put out in the background that it's like, he's capable of getting you outs and going deep into the game.
Yeah.
Like he knows how to locate, he knows how to get deep into, he knows how to get early in the count, and he knows how to attack hitters. That's great. But the guy is not going to be any, a star. He's been impressive. But I just don't see it being from that level. And obviously Mets fans will overrate all of their players. That's how it is, especially with the young guys. They just want to plug in and, start off their celebrity endorsements, out of the gate if they have one good start, which again, that's part of being a fan. But it's like the level of how I look at it is like, and M. Easy saying, and this is no fault to M. Easy saying, Thornton should study guys like Pettit and Glavine, which I don't know if Glavine is really the best name to put out there for the Mets fan base, but guys from guys who throw from the left side, the high arm angle, the guys who throw spam strikes to both platoons. To me, it's like these guys like the Jeffrey Springs, like the high arm angle. Like that's how I see him. And Jeffrey Springs is not the best pitcher. He hasn't been great, especially no pitcher, to be honest, is great
Sacramento.
in Oakland or with Oakland or the A's or whatever we're calling them now. But Jeffrey Springs is like the guy who, you can write him in to pitch into the 6th inning. You can write him in to give you 3 earned runs, 4 earned runs, and keep you into the game and not wear down your bullpen, especially when you talk about blow-ups from the other guys, the other young guys, such as McLean and Scott, who have had moments where they haven't been able to go deep into the games. So again, I think that he can be a very, very good, cork piece for this team in this rotation. I would like to see him be a lot more consistent than David Peterson. I'm hoping we see that more than that. But to sit here and say, well, this guy, he looks like the next Sandy Koufax, it's not going to happen, folks. No. That's not going to happen because, again, the way that you profile this guy was under the radar for a reason. He was expected to be a back-end rotation guy. That's what scouts were saying about him. This guy could be a back end of the rotation guy. He throws strikes, but he can be very, very valuable because of how, effortlessly he goes from the left side, gets ahead in the count, pitch count stays down, goes deep into games, saves your bullpen. Perfect. Again, we don't need to see Zach Thornton, be the next Clayton Kershaw. We don't need to see him be the next Madison Bumgarner. We need him to be Zach Thornton and keep us in the game. Be Zach Thornton, that's it. Or just be Jeffrey Springs. So I think Jeffrey Springs is a swell fella. Hovering around the 4 earned run average. Back end starter. Perfect. Nothing wrong with that. So, again, when it comes to all of these guys, some of them may have higher ceilings than others. McLean, I think, has the highest. I think we can all agree he has the highest. Yeah. Scott, I think, I would say he's more mid-rotation. Yeah. And then Thornton back end. So, again, in a perfect world, 1, 3, 5. Maybe 2, 3, 5. If you get a certain someone in Detroit. I don't know. But again, that strong core nucleus, let's not put them on this massive, unrepeatable pedestal. Because we were already talking about, I think this was last time, with the young pitchers, of how they handled it with the Harvey, Syndergaard, DeGrom. And again, they're not the same. The Wheeler, the way that they handled it, those guys couldn't handle it. They had talent, but mentally they couldn't handle it. DeGrom was probably the only one who could. But then we continued to see him get hurt towards the end of it. But mentally, these guys couldn't handle it. We already know the heartbreaking story of Matt Harvey, the way that just completely collapsed after like a 3-year peak. Noah Syndergaard basically self-destructed his entire career. Steven Matz was a head case. I mean, I don't want it to turn into a repeat of that. Because like that, when I always talk about this, when people are like, oh, we had it so good with this rotation. Like, does anyone remember how that unfolded? Because I don't remember it being that fond. Like, yeah, you had 2015. You went to the World Series. But like is this really the model you want to go by? Like, let these guys develop. Let these guys learn. Let them succeed. Let them fail. Like, that's how I kind of look at it with the young pitching. And hopefully they learn along the way. That's all I hope. Andrew, anything else with this young pitching? And then we'll go into Scott. In this third game, to be honest, not really much to do with Scott in that third game. More of the fact of the Mets basically just being their own
worst enemy.
Idiocy.
Yeah.
Which basically cost them this game of a possible series win to upset a really good Brewers team, which this Brewers team in this series, they really didn't even play that fluent of baseball. They were throwing the ball around the field too. They were kicking the ball too. They had a few miscues. Mets weren't able to cash in on some of them because they're the Mets and they're not good. But you look at this individually, Christian Scott comes out of the game in the fourth inning. The command started to get away from him, I think. And is it possible that maybe he was a little bit rattled after the miscue? This miscue that we are talking about came in the second inning. You have runners at the corners, 2 out. It's an 0-2 count to Joey Ortiz. This pitch is fastball up, pokes it to right field. Brett Beatty, who's in right field. Why is he in right field? Who the hell knows? Takes one of the worst routes you'll ever see on a ball, completely misplays it. Takes, 2 seconds, two full seconds, 2 Mississippis to try and pick the ball up. Joey Ortiz goes to third, 2 runs come in to score, they take the lead, and then that third run comes in on the next batter, Christian Yelich RBI single. So three hits, so 3 runs, score with 2 outs, as to where Scott was not able to put away the batter, had 2 strikes with 2 outs, could have gotten out of that inning completely unscathed. And we've had plenty of situations where defensive miscues this year. The team's just not good. Brett Beatty doesn't belong in right field. We all agree he doesn't belong in right field. We all agree that he should not be a utility player. Infield utility, third base, second base, that's that. What makes it so frustrating is this was so unnecessary, especially when they made it so public and made it as like, oh, he's going to play. We're going to arrange our outfielders with Luis Robert coming back. In this exact series, you had 5 available outfielders.
And that was what you wanted.
And you said, yeah, Brett Beatty goes and plays at right field. And it costs you this game. And to be honest, I'm not going to sit here and trash the shit out of Beatty, to be honest, because he doesn't belong out there. He doesn't belong out there. What I'm trashing more is the Mets' belief in Beatty, which is so borderline delusional. Where we have heard reports already recently of where they still find him as, they still think he could be a staple in this lineup. What staple? The staple that gets stuck in your ass if you sit on it by accident? What staple? So he misplays it completely on the warning track in right field. And then what pisses me off even more, the next inning afterwards, the guy homers, which again, getting the run back, he probably said that to Scott. Scott said it, oh yeah, well, listen, they're teammates, whatever, right? To be honest, in truth of thoughts, letting them win with me, I would have choked the shit out of Brett Beatty after that, but whatever. because he's an idiot. Brett Baty homers in the top of the 5th inning, gets one of the runs back. Great. It just surely annoys me so much to where they continue to enable this stupidity with how Brett Baty is managed. Should he be out there in right field? No. Should not be out there in right field. Should never play a single inning in right field. We know by now he can't handle right field. But the fact that we continue to see this validation, and the Mets are going to probably continue to go with it because, Brett Baty homered because we have to get his bat in the lineup. Brett Baty homered. It's okay. One run is one run. 2 runs are 2 runs. He gets a homer right here. And to be honest, that entire home run that he had was a down and away changeup taken to right field. So still not even good hitting process. And that's not just me sitting here, and hating on Brett Baty, but it basically just shows you exactly what type of player he is. Because his hitting process is trash, his approach is trash, his swing decisions are trash. But in cold hard result, he gets the home run. Maybe he's hitting a little bit better over these past few weeks. And then that's just basically going to validate it that he is just going to be staying here at the trade deadline when he does not belong here. He doesn't belong here in the major leagues. He doesn't belong in the right field. And that's that. What is he doing there in right field? That's more of the fact of what the Mets are thinking. Why is he out there? Tell me why he is out there when basically you're taking everyday players who have proven that they should be everyday players, such as Benj and Ewing. Ewing played left field in this series, which he has not played that much. Benj played left field. Benj did not play center field, which I was surprised that he didn't. Robert wasn't even in the lineup for that final game. So that's your scheme. You're like, we're going to move these guys around the outfield, which again, Benj and Ewing can play all 4 outfield positions. We all believe that they can. They're good athletes. But you're going to use that device. You're going to use that advantage to put Brett Baty in the lineup at right field. Really? Seriously? Are we for real right now? Like, Andrew, you're obviously were bigger than on Baty as a utility man than me. To be honest, I don't see him as anything. I just see him as a black hole on this team, and he just sucks. If they haven't learned their lesson that he doesn't belong in the outfield, I don't know whenever they will. Because this is just a fucking joke. And look what it just did. It cost you a series win. Does it matter because this team is awful? No. But in full-on due process, they're enabling crap. When they don't have to. They don't have to do this. Taylor was available. Robert was available. It's not like they were injured because they came off the bench in this game. What are we doing? Why? And they fucked this up so much even more because they took Baty out because of the matchups. Then they're using Terens as a first baseman. Play guys out of position, right? Because we need their bat in the lineup. But again, we're going to enable it because Brett Baty homered in this game. His 4th home run in the last 14 years. Goody. So now we continue to enable it. So now Brett Baty is going to continue to be on this team because he's not going to get traded. And then also Mark Vientos will continue because he's injured. And the main reasons as to why this team doesn't go to the next level or continues to sink and regress will stay here for 2027. Goody. And this is why I say they're not going to sell enough. Because they believe in such shit, stupid fiddling with formulas or chat GPT. Where it goes to a certain overkill that I can't even defend. It's a joke.
It made 0 sense in the sense that you're selling. Tyrone Taylor's a pending UFA. You already said Luis Robert is being put out there to be showcased. Why again, Tyrone Taylor is there to be traded to, or should be traded to, pending UFA. And then, again, and this is, I don't get it, again, this obsession with playing, and I was listening to some people, and it's like, this is a Stearnsian way where he's not used to being able to just, if I need a right fielder, I can go get a right fielder. Or I can go get he's grown up in the major leagues where he's had to have the Brewers where he can't go out and get a right fielder. So you know what? Let's turn the third baseman into a corner outfielder. Like, it's a small market mentality of trying to make these guys play other positions. He's a third baseman. Let him just play third base. If you want to play him at second base, fine, because he's average or slightly fine. Leave him in the infield. Like, he should not be touching grass. Well, no. Like, in the fact that you're at a point right now where you should be showcasing every tradable asset, and you're like, you know what? Marcus Semien. No one's taking Marcus Semien. If you want to get Brett Baty in the lineup so damn bad, sit Marcus Semien's old ass down. I know he homered as well in this game. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, and that's another validation of saying, like, this was the right decision of not putting him at second base and putting him in right field. That's the thing. But in the end, in technical terms, in non-calculator terms, and non-chat GPT terms that they apparently are using, it lost you this game. I don't know.
It's again
not enough's going to get moved, and Joe says he agrees with me. I don't see that it's going to not. You're already not going to see Vientos get moved because who's going to want a useless player that's already injured? Brett Baty, they probably see as the utility guy still. Maybe infield utility, but they still probably see him as like, oh, he could play third base and second base. No, he's not even a major leaguer. But that's just going even more farther than their big brains can cash, apparently. We have heard nothing about Tyrone Taylor getting moved.
Yeah.
Like who knows? I mean, Robert probably gets moved too. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think they're going to do enough in a sell-off. They're still going to just revert to their own habits. And that's how I know. Unless they're trying to say, hey, we're going to showcase Brett Baty in right field that he can be a trade guy, a trade candidate. If that's what that means, whatever, bite the bullet on it. But I don't think that's what it means. Because from what we are seeing with these reports, they still see him as a staple in this lineup. They still are high. They're not just going to give him away. Why do you value him so much? And for people that make me this constant excuse where they're like, oh, he should be playing third base because he'll hit better. He has an 82 weighted runs created plus as a third baseman this season. He's a career 75 weighted runs created plus as a third baseman. What exactly are you seeing? It comes to a point of just like, enough already. And that's how I always say, it's like, this team, this franchise is just Brett Baty. They are Brett Baty. We are Brett Barry. We are Brett Baty. We carry the TikToks.
Brett Barry. We're going to start calling him Brett Barry now at this point. I don't know.
It's a joke. This guy has played almost 400 major league games. Has had 15 good ones? He's had 1,400 plate appearances. It's not going to happen. Why do you keep holding on to something that doesn't work? And I know they're going to hold on to him. I know he will be in the 2027 plans because for some reason they believe that he is a staple for this team. You can't just give it up. You just can't because it's constant overcorrection with this guy. We signed Bro Bichette to play third base. No, don't trade Brett Baty. He'll be a utility guy for us. He'll be Jeff McNeil. Yeah, Jeff McNeil's a great bar, too. They just can't give up. They can't quit. They just can't quit Brett Baty. What does he have on this organization? And how do I get that same dirt on this organization to blackmail them to ship him out of here? Because this is a joke. Nothing is going to change if you keep players such as Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Baty, Mark Vientos. Who are these other guys? I mean, we can go on and on. they didn't get rid of enough, and I don't think that they're going to get rid of enough in this deadline. Brett Baty is a prime example. Andrew, before we get into the studs and duds, I mean, this is a joke. This is a complete overcompensation joke, which I said already. I said this already before the season started. Everyone looked at me like, "Who? Carson? Well, he had a good month in 2025 and he broke out, and those TikToks are inspiring." And look where we are now. He's a replacement level hitter, a below average defender in both corners. Hasn't really played a great defense at third base. He's been okay at second base. I give him that. But like, I've already been saying this. It's like, and like you have already been saying about David Stearns, it's like, use the fucking money to sign Jorge Mateo. Enough with this trash. Enough with it. Stop trying to mold Brett Baty into something he is not. Sign Jorge Mateo. Sign who else? Like Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I don't care. Guys who have done it before. They're utility guys. They're known for their value being utility. Stop trying to create this shit.
This isn't Milwaukee.
This isn't Milwaukee. He shouldn't be playing. That's what I can't stand with David Stearns. I really, really thought that he would use a mindset of, oh, I didn't bring these guys in. Well, guess what? They're getting shipped out of here. But no. We do it with Senga. David Peterson, we had to we literally had to claw our way to get rid of this guy. He was here for 8 fucking years. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. That is why I get upset with David Stearns. Not for the reasons that a lot of people say. The way that they manage this and just continue to shoot themselves in the foot. And to be honest, brag about shooting themselves in the foot. They're going nowhere if this continues to be their mindset. And you're going to continue to be the same epitome of crap, even if you have Brett Baty in a minimum role next year. Let it go. He's done. He is finished. He's not a major leaguer. Neither is Mark Vientos. Kodai Senga doesn't belong in the major leagues. Ronnie Mauricio doesn't belong in the major leagues either. You don't even give him a chance. For the sake of argument, get him out of here too. Move on. And then on top of that, of course, the veterans you bring in have been shit too. Bo Bichette hasn't been great. Polanco's barely even alive. Robert is barely even alive too. Simeon's been awful. One of the worst players in all of baseball. So that influxes a bad team. And it all starts with the nucleus, for me, that being Brett Baty. We are Brett Baty. Before I sweat through my entire shirt, Andrew, it's ridiculous. This is a joke. I've already told you guys this was a joke, and everyone's like, oh no, they'll use him as depth. He's in the lineup every day. He's in the lineup every single day. And everyone's like, oh, well, everyone's injured. Robert's back. Polanco's back. Jared Young came back. Lindor's back. Soto came back. He's still in the lineup every single day. And don't tell me you can't sit him against righties because you need an extra bat. You sat him against Sproat in game 2 of the series. What happened to that? I don't give a shit if he homered. I don't care. And to be honest, that pissed me off even more. This is why I'm aggravated with David Stearns. Mister, I want to be proactive. You're not proactive. No. In fact, you're just making up dumb shit. Brett Baty's not a right fielder. He's not a left fielder. I wouldn't be surprised if I see him in center field at this rate. Because that's how stupid this team intends on being.
I want to be on the watch along when they put Brett Beatty in center field. Again, it's just what it is. And the fact that, again, this isn't even his drafted developed prospect. This was his leftover crap from Epler. And he's still, and again, I say it every time, the only reason he loves him, because he's free. That's the only way you can actually make this somewhat it doesn't make sense, but at least logically, he's free. And that's the only reason you're just not willing to just put the bullet in this dude's head. Like, it is, I don't know. But again, it's what we have. We got to trust the smartest man in the league. And
this guy's free. Meanwhile, I have the richest owner in all of baseball, and I can't just spurn out $4 million to Jorge Mateo to be a utility guy.
It's not even going to cost it'd be like $1 million. It'd
be like $1 million. Just like, it's a joke what they've continued to turn it into. This is a joke. That's the type of stuff. And then on top of that, guys playing out of position, the way that the roster is formed. I mean, it all just continues to stack up. Like, is he actually adaptable? Because if he actually was adaptable, all of these young, old baby Mets would be gone. Exception from probably Alvarez because of the premium position he plays. Yeah. But that's it. That's it. And that's why I say they're not going to get rid of enough. And that's why I don't have faith in them competing in 2027, because they continue to roster useless crap like this. Bare minimum, I'm free. I get a pass. And they don't hold any of them accountable. Brett Beatty in the lineup every single goddamn day. And if you don't believe me, they have played 107
games?
106 games. He has played 97 of them. What else do you need to know? What else? Studs and duds of this series. One player that was good, one player that was bad. We've already gone completely over time into this series because we still got trade stuff to talk about. But Andrew, stud for this series?
I mean, again, we talk about the win. It's Zach Thornton. I mean, again, it just continues to impress from what he is. Again, is he the next Cy Young Award winner? No. But is he definitely...
How dare you, Andrew? How dare you say that?
And he's done it against really good teams. Like, he hasn't done it against, like, bottom feed. Like, he has... And again, I said the same thing about Nolan McLean going into this season. Like, there's going to be an adjustment. Once the book's on you, teams make an adjustment, and you saw McLean struggle. Now he's adjusted to their adjustments, and that's what it's going to be. And we've seen this all the time with young pitchers. When nobody knows who you are, you dominate. It's more impressive once you make the adjustment. How do you respond to that? And I think that's when we'll see how actually good this dude is, instead of what everyone's calling him a Cy Young Award winner. When again, like we said, he's a back end guy where again you need these guys. So again, when you're going 6 innings, I didn't think he needed to go back up for the 7th, especially that chaotic 6th inning he had. I would have loved it. Obviously, it would have been nice for the line scored him to get another inning. But again, that was he got out of that jam in the 6th. I think getting him out of that jam and just letting him go into the bullpen, especially again trying to promote relievers, give many opportunities for those guys. So I didn't mind him not going back out. I mean, obviously, if you're in a competitive race, maybe it's a different conversation. But again, getting him out of the right time, again, just quality length, and he's giving you length more than any other starter, which is great. So again, shout out to Zach. Zach with 3 letters instead of 4 in his name, showing out.
Yeah, he's a pop star now. Got to change it. Jared Young. Good series from him. I thought he was really, really good. He had the multi-hit game in the second game of this series. Had the home run against, it was Sproat, right?
Sproat,
he greeted Sproat. And then, to be honest, I thought he had some good ABs against Mizorowski in that first game of the series as well. And again, he just continues to see, again, the best first base option they've had this year. And to be honest, I don't agree that he should be the starting first baseman next year, but
no.
He's been great. Again, taking calls on him. I wouldn't mind selling high on that. I really wouldn't. But either way, he's continued to be a really solid pickup for this team. I know a lot of people who are going, oh, KBO. He's been good for this team. He really has. Yeah. From both sides of the ball. He's played a good first base. And he's posting you a consistent, you know, 750 OPS right now.
Again, he's
and again, that's not replacing what they don't have at first base. We're not even going to mention his name, but it's like he's proven that he should get ABs, and he's made every single one of them count. Dud category. Some of them are indisputable. I want to start this one off because this is kind of gone unnoticed. Jorge Polanco looks terrible. To be honest, he looks even worse than he looked before he went down with the injury. I know he drove in a run in garbage time or something or whatever, had a little bit of a single, but this guy is completely off balance. Seems to be always down 0-2 at this point. Has killed a few rallies in this series. He looks awful. It's a lost season for him, obviously. I don't expect him to get moved, considering what his value is at right now. But, I mean, he's been a black hole in this lineup. We just had a report come out right before we went live that he is trying to ease himself back into the first base workload, which, again, I don't know what the hell that means, but we'll see. I thought he played a decent first base when he had the limited reps when he was here. Which again, it's whatever. It's the same thing going with Bo, but he looks awful at the plate. We know that his biggest asset is his bat, and we haven't seen a single lick of it, to be honest, all year. It's been a lost season for him. He's been injured all year, and when he has been healthy, it hasn't been good. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still injured and still dealing with that discomfort, which again continues to be an indictment on David Stearns signing injury-prone players. Wow, an injury-prone player gets hurt, has a lingering injury throughout the entire season. I could have never saw that. Mr. Adaptable, Mr. Proactive. How could you not see that coming? Andrew, your dud? I think it's pretty clear. I mean,
yeah. Again, like we talked about it earlier, it's Freddie Peralta. Again, if you can't get up facing your team, your former team, and show any sort of dog, like as much of the jokes we make on the pod is we love dogs, like that is the most dog opportunity. So stick it to a team that traded you, and you looked absolutely afraid of that.
Did not want to give you an extension, by the way.
It did
said,
not.
No, we're not extending
exactly. And again, the one positive, David Stearns didn't give this guy 7 years or whatever stupidity contract he wanted. Thank you, David, for not being a complete moron. Even though we'll have a conversation, but it's just Freddie, man. It's been a disappointment, and the fact that you can't give me that one last fuck you to your former team, and you just crater into a little tiny chump that you showed. Yeah, you can be the dud of the next 10 years at this point.
Yeah, it was a horrible performance. To be honest, I didn't expect him to be great, to be honest, because again, this is a really good Brewers team, and it basically just shows you the duality of the Mets and the Brewers, of where the Brewers are at even with their limited resources, and the Mets with their unlimited resources. Which team is better? Who's the better team? I can't tell, but it also just shows you it's like, okay, David Stearns left this organization to join your organization. Basically just shows you the microcosm. This is his third year here, and look where we are at. And it just shows you, who do we trade from in Milwaukee? Freddie Peralta.
We have slight breaking news. Not really. It's just Clay Holmes' final line for his rehab. 2 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. So
yeah, okay.
Fine in Syracuse.
Not bad.
Okay.
So at least he. All right, yeah, I have that on rapid fire of he actually making his start. I thought it was actually a little bit later, but I guess not. But either way, let's get into these trade deadline reports, which are already overbilled here. We got some reports from John Heyman. We got some reports from Rosenthal and Sam, and I kind of just put them all together on the graphic just to keep them all together. First in from Heyman. He did say that the Mets paying down some of Bo Bichette's salary and trading him cannot be ruled out, but I really would not stick it to it possibly happening. There was this report of where we already got into with Freddie Peralta, where his trade value is falling, but some rivals blame the Mets defense, which, to be honest, we blame the Mets defense a lot too this year, and cite his good, solid secondary numbers, which actually do have still the swing and miss numbers. There also was from John Heyman, which has also been something that Andrew, you have been banging the drum for, of selling high on Huskar Brazaban. Looks like they're likely to do that too. So Huskar Brazaban might be out the door as well, along with Rayleigh and Minter. From Salmon, there were some blurbs, obviously, on the Athletic saying Luis Robert Jr. has been drawing preliminary interest from multiple teams. Speaking of Clay Holmes, while a contract extension between Holmes and the Mets remains possible, people familiar with the situation believe a trade is more likely. And then also there was a report that came out that Kevin Gausman had the Mets on his no trade list, which I don't really think makes really much sense to the context as it. I think it's more just the fact, like, if you want to take on his deal for like this or that, but the Mets getting Kevin Gausman, that has pretty much died down.
Yeah, that came out because obviously the Blue Jays and TSN, the Blues are falling. TSN, they had their main writer on TSN, and he brought up his 8 teams. He has the Brewers on there as well, so I think this was put in a couple years ago. But again,
probably.
the Mets being on there just because I don't know, you just want to be a mess. It's a non-story. Yeah. I mean, it is because it's the Mets and Klitz, but really it doesn't mean he's not getting traded to the Mets. Pending UFA, I think this is more. He probably ends up back in Atlanta. Probably my guess would be if I had to, or maybe Philly.
Maybe Atlanta. Maybe he goes to the Cubs.
I could see Philly,
like
but also Cubs. Yes, the problem with the Braves and the Blue Jays is Antopoulos is there, and obviously Atkins and Antopoulos don't love each other. Obviously, what happened at the end of Alex's first stint in Toronto. So I said Gausman, it makes sense to go back. They've already traded for him in the past, but we'll see if Alex Antopoulos and can make a trade.
We will see what that market looks like. But again, with the whole Freddie Peralta situation, like we were already saying, with his value dropping the way that it has, some teams are obviously seeing it as, oh, the Mets defense sucks, and this Mets team is so awful, and it's probably an awful situation. To be honest, I'm not surprised if Freddie Peralta goes somewhere and he pitches like his normal self and kind of recoups a little bit going into free agency. Like obviously, Huskar Brazaban, we saw, again, Will Salmon was the one who put it out that he likely will be a lock for their bullpen in 2027. And then you had John Heyman say, who obviously works for the Post in rival to the Athletic, saying that they likely will sell high on Huskar Brazaban, which again, it's a reliever. He's in the older stages of his career. He will, to be honest, I would not be surprised if he nets you something similar to somebody like Luke Weaver, considering where you're taking on probably $11 million from Luke Weaver, not this season, next season as well, considering the fact as well that the Mets have also reported that they're not looking to really take on as much money or cover that much in comparison to what it is with what they did in 2023. So Brazaban, again, he could be a very valuable trade chip, as I have a stroke. But like, we'll see what it gets you. I think that the return, there's going to be teams that are going to be lining up for it. I'm not really surprised by any of the stuff with Clay Holmes. Like Clay Holmes, the situation with him, I'm fine with him getting extended. I'm fine with him getting traded because I think that the full-on nucleus focus here is obviously the young pitching. And again, solidifying your rotation with a 4-year deal with a guy like Clay Holmes,
which Sean and I are, and
kind of backtracking it with what also went on with Minaya. I mean, again, there's other factors. I think that there's plenty of factors as to why they should extend him and plenty of factors as to why they should trade him. I wouldn't be upset either way if they go into either direction. The main thing that I would say is, like, I would be more in, I would be more in the driver's seat to trade him if he wasn't injured right now. And yes, it's a freak injury. The problem is that you also have Clay Holmes, who, is a big guy, relies on his lower half, so you just don't know what he would be afterwards. But if they're getting a lot of calls for him, you should trade him. You should.
Yeah.
Again, I don't really care what they do, to be honest, in terms of that. But Andrew, I mean, you already said that you want them to trade Clay Holmes because obviously you gotta empty the pieces of this team that has failed miserably, probably to a different level in comparison to 2023. The thing is that you're also losing the factor of a guy who has pitched in New York, could be a valuable piece for you for multiple years continuing because he doesn't have as much mileage because he just started being a major league starter. It's conflicting for me just because of the mindset of, we're looking to compete in 2027. Because if you're looking to compete in 2027, a piece of your rotation, if you have an opportunity to lock that down, you might as well do it, especially where you don't know what the trade value is right now because he's injured. And he hasn't pitched in a while. And he's still just ramping up at this current moment. He probably won't be back for the deadline. He'll probably still be on the injured list if you trade him by the trade deadline.
Yeah, and, again, as I said to somebody in the chat, it's not like, again, I understand, it'd be nice, and it'd be nice to not, have Clay Holmes, but again, and let's break down a few things with that. One, like we've said a couple times on the stream, you have the money. If you like Clay Holmes so much, trade him for assets, and you know what? In the offseason, you can make a call to him and talk to his agent then. And guess what? He's not. And guess what? Will not have a qualifying offer attached to him because he's been traded. Yeah. And yes, technically it wouldn't have mattered with the Mets because he would be on the save. Even if you keep him, it doesn't matter. Which also could hinder that because he wouldn't have the qualifying offer, so other teams would be more interested. But again, different conversation. I mean, it's just something to bring up. Two, this notion, and again, you're not the first. We've had people, you can't trade for injured players, a la, again, a last season trade where a pitcher who did not pitch at all at last year, not a single pitch was thrown in 2025, got traded for a top 100 prospect. Yes, Shane Bieber.
But Andrew, he won the Mickey Mouse Cy Young.
And right now, Clay Holmes was pitching better than Shane Bieber's pitched the last 3 years before 2025. So he will still get you.
Of course.
And this is, when I say top 100 prospect, I'm not putting bullet. It has to be pipeline. I think you get a fringe top 100 prospect who could be a hipster top 100 prospect. We can look maybe more in the Fangraphs top 100 prospects or Baseball America compared to pipeline. But I do think, again, Cal Stevenson, go look at that trade from what Cleveland got for Shane Bieber. I think you can get that. And again, the injury, like you said, it's a freak. It's not an injury. It's not an arm injury. Like you said, he doesn't have the wear and tear on his arm. And also, contenders are looking at him. This isn't the scary team that could make sense is the Dodgers because they don't need Clay Holmes to be a starter. He could be a starter to get to the rest of the season because obviously Ohtani is not pitching more a lot, or he'll pitch, but he's going to be frequently maybe until the playoffs. Which, in that sense, they could just turn him back into the high-leverage Clay Holmes in the bullpen come playoff time. Which is that conversation has not been really, because we've heard the White Sox really as the only team till for Clay Holmes. I understand, that's been the only team we've seen, but the Dodgers, the Rays, the teams that have been interested in Freddie have definitely called and talked about Clay Holmes because, again, they're both making no money compared to what starting pitchers. Peralta's making 8, Clay's making 12. And you prorate it for 2 months, and hell, and I know the Mets, I despise that, they're not willing. Eat the money, do what you do. You have the advantage as of now. Eat the money and get better prospects. The fact that I heard that pisses me. And it's deals, and unlike Scherzer and Verlander, where it's $40 million, if you're not willing to eat $7 million of the 11 on Luke Weaver next year,
some of these guys are prorated. We're talking cover it down to league minimum for
this season, yes.
Minter, Raley,
but
Peralta.
I'm talking,
cover it down to that.
I'm talking.
But if it's multiple years,
I guess I'm just talking
Again,
strictly Weaver, not Wheeler.
And that's another thing is like how Doug was saying here in the chat. Like nobody's getting extension with the lockout pending. That's another factor too. Like we've already said,
the younger guys are getting.
The younger guys will. The guys in arbitration that they buy out.
Bradish just extended. Who else is?
But again, those are guys under control still. Like Clay Holmes is going to go to free agency no matter what happens.
It'd be stupid unless
no matter what happens, he's going to opt out. Like he's going to end up opting out. But the thing that I go to it's like I get wanting to hold on to Clay Holmes. Because I would love to have him in our rotation next year if you're going to be competing like you said you want to. And with Juan Soto on your roster, you have to. And that's the main reason as to why it's ridiculous to move another guy that has been going into trade rumors, which we'll get into in a second. The main thing that I'm just going to point out here is there's a lot of things that obviously cancel out here. Okay, again, he could pitch in New York. He's been probably the most saving grace, the biggest saving grace from all the additions that have been made by David Stearns, which in overall grading has been horrific. He's given you innings. He's stayed healthy. Hasn't had arm concerns. The problem is that, again, with the adaptable and adjustable, learning from mistakes, do you veer this a connection to what happened with Sean Manaea? I don't know, to be honest, because I think they're two completely different pitchers. They throw with two different, completely different hands, obviously. So there is a little bit of fear in that. Could it also be possible that the Mets met with Clay Holmes and they said, hey, we want a 5-year, 6-year deal? That could also have happened. Because it seemed like with the reports that, hey, they were discussing it for an extension before the trade deadline starts. The fact that we just got that report that it's more likely that he gets traded. Yeah, I think that it just did not go anywhere. Like it probably just quickly did not go anywhere. And a guy that we expect to go to free agency goes to free agency because, to be honest, you have to trade him. You obviously have to trade him if an extension doesn't happen. But the thing is that if they do believe in what is going on right now, and they believe that they want Clay Holmes, and this is, again, if they value him in a certain value, like, I have this, like, irrational fear right now that they're going to look at this and like, okay, maybe we hold on to Clay because he's injured and we're not getting back what we expected to get back, and we just QO him going into free agency. That's the type of fear that I have. I do think that he will get dealt, to be honest, at the rate that it's going. More likely that he does get dealt. Because it doesn't seem like him staying and not getting extended is the most likely possibility. It seems like, oh, he gets extended or he gets dealt. But again, with him being injured is the main reason as to why I'm like, okay, is the trade market what you exactly expect it to be for someone who, again, has been good and could have a lot of value, but if you're pulling back on what you're asking, what exactly do you expect to get back from him? Like, if it's fringe top 100 and the Mets are asking for, 2 fringe top 100s. Like, I feel like they're looking at Clay Holmes as, we're going to try and trade him, but considering how awful it's been with Freddie Peralta, of how that value is dipped. I feel like, again, my fear, they're not going to sell enough. They're not going to sell enough because they have too many different things to pivot to, too many different factors around guys like Clay Holmes, perhaps Freddie Peralta. I hope that I'm wrong, but I do think that they are still stake set on, saying, hey, this team got injured a lot. We're going to try it again in 2027, which I don't want to see, because most of their decisions they made for 2026 sucked and needs a deep cleaning change. And I just don't think they're going to make enough of that change. And it starts with these trade pieces, too, of what they're going to look towards for 2027.
Yeah, and also, I guess, going to the trade stuff, and we've heard some reports of what they want back. And then the fan base has been pissed off about it to an extent. Where you're having this conversation, and we have this all the time in the other sports, when it comes to draft time, it's like, well, should we be drafting for need, or should we be drafting best player available? The Mets are in a situation where I don't care if it's an 18-year-old DSL signing or a dude in AAA, you take the best offer. And I don't care, and this is some other thing which is infuriating me. It's like, talking about a guy, Luis Robert. We saw there's interest in Luis Robert. There's a team in this division who would love to get Luis Robert. And the fact that I'm seeing the idiocies on the internet and fans being like, oh, no, I can't trade. If the best package is coming from Philly for Luis Robert, I do not give a shit that he plays for the Philadelphia Phillies. We are and we're angry about, well, I don't want to help I don't care. The Mets need to accumulate the most talent. And another thing is like, oh, you can't we need to fill third base. No, if we get 7 shortstops, because those are the 7 best assets we get.
Yeah, of course.
I don't care. And the fact that, and everyone's like, well, that's not going to help you. Yes, it is. You need to accumulate as many assets because
not everybody plays. Not everybody's going to play for you, but they will be acclimated to your roster.
And also, this is good. We haven't even brought this up yet because we've been just stuck in this horrific season, and we expect a lockout on December 1st. If there isn't, and we'll get let's say magically we only have a 2-week lockout. Let's play Imaginary Land for a second. I don't know if any of us actually looked at the free agent class. It fucking sucks. Jazz Chisholm is the best bat. That's why Bo Bichette will opt out, because he'll get term from someone because he looks at Bo Bichette being the best free agent. And even if it's a half-decent rest of the season, he's opting out. Because he'll do the same thing.
Of course.
He did the same thing Alex Bregman. And everyone's like, oh, there's no way Alex Bregman turns down $40 million a year. Players want term. They don't care about that. They'll take a less AAV for the term, and Bo will opt out to get into that free agent market just to get some term. If it's 5 years, call it 28 to 30. But my point is,
the thing is that Bo is also, but he's younger, so he could use another year,
Back to I got sidetracked getting to talk free agents, but again, it's about the free agents. You need as many assets because the trade market is going to be the best way to upgrade this team in the offseason. So you need to get any. I don't care if it's 7 shortstops, 6 catchers, 55 offensive linemen. And I don't care if it comes from the Phillies, the Braves, the Marlins, the Pirates, Guangdong Tigers. I do not care. If the best trade is 7, one of the top international free agents who's 18 years old or 17-year-olds coming out of the Dominican Republic, or if I see someone be like, well, if so-and-so's offering me 3 AAA pitchers who are, fringe whatever, I'd rather have the quantity of pitch. No. If you do not take the best offer, and I don't care where it comes from, this dude is a moron. And we all kind of already know David Stearns is a moron, because your fear, and the fact that it shouldn't even be a fear, is this team not selling enough. And the fact that we continue to say there will not be baseball next year. If there will be, it will be a 2020 COVID type year. So the fact that we're like, well, we have to compete next year. We don't know, what the books look like, what's the rules look like. And if that certain phrase, that 2-word phrase comes up, we're not playing baseball. So stop pretending. We're playing pretend like we're playing 162 next year.
That's what my fear is. That's my fear, that they think they're going to be.
And it's idiotic.
That's my fear about it. I'm not saying that they should.
Yeah.
But from the mindset of them saying, hey, we're going to compete in 2027, which again, you're going to because you have Juan Soto on this roster. It just doesn't make it makes sense to me of them just underwhelming themselves, of not selling enough. I feel like it's just like, oh yeah, well, rentals dumb them down to this. I would not be surprised if they sell off 4 pieces. That's it.
Then you better get
Minter, Raley, Peralta, Robert. Wouldn't be surprised. I really just wouldn't.
Then you better get what you gave up last year. If you're giving up a rental reliever, you better get 3 assets for him. Because again, look at what the Mets gave up last year at the deadline for relievers. And Ryan Helsley, 3 pieces. Tyler Rogers, 3 pieces. If you're only selling
Do
4
you trust them to do that?
I'm not saying I.
That's the
but
problem.
that's the bar. You have set your example of what it costs when you're buying. If you're not using your own example that this GM did, saying if I'm trading
They
rental
set
reliever,
the reliever market last
exactly.
year.
So if you're not getting that, you're an idiot, or you're just that brain dead. Remember, hey, I did this. I know what the market is. So if you're not at least accumulating what you've given up, in the sense of at least 3 assets for a rental reliever, it doesn't have to be sexy. But if you need to restockpile the depth in your system, and obviously you need some top end talent. But if you're not setting the bar at that, then what are we doing here? Like,
No, it's ridiculous. That's what I mean. I just, like, this team, again, they are going to treat this like the epitome. Like, they are going to Brett Beatty this. Like, that's literally what my fear is as of right now. Because as much as I advocated for David Stearns over these past few years, and maybe to a toxic extent to some people, he's lost my trust at this point. Day by day. And when you lose my trust, I will continue to develop these types of fears that they end up holding on to Clay Holmes, that they end up holding on to maybe Peralta because they're not going to get what they expect, that they're going to hold on to Brett Beatty. I already know he's staying. I already know that's going to happen because they're that delusional, especially when they don't have to be. That's the most hilarious part. They don't have to be. So at this point, we haven't even gotten into the discussion with our shortstop here, where people want to trade him, which I personally think is borderline hilarious at this point, because it's just absolutely stupid, an overall contradiction of them saying they want to compete in 2027, having Juan Soto on their roster. Before we even get into that, let's get into the rapid fire stories just to cut in break. Juan Soto was unavailable yesterday versus the Brewers, for them to give him about 48 hours with the off day today to get his left calf issue completely behind him. This has always been for precautionary reasons, nothing for long-term concern. He did miss 13 games this season due to a minor right calf strain, so it's a completely separate injury, and he was kind of feeling it in Philadelphia a little bit. They just been kind of taking it slow, giving him DH reps and left field reps. Hasn't been as concerning. Xavier Curry was optioned down to AAA Syracuse as the corresponding move for the recall of Daniel Duarte. Curry, okay, in 4 appearances, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 5 hits. Signed a minor league deal with the Mets earlier this month. Corey Collins and John Bay, outfielder and infielder, promoted to Double-A Binghamton. Collins, near 800 OPS. He's a former this season for Brooklyn. He is a former 6th-round pick by the Mets in 2024 in the MLB draft. John Bay was a former undrafted free agent last year by the Mets, an 818 OPS. In some of the corresponding moves, AJ Salgado has been promoted to High A Brooklyn, has posted a 739 OPS for Low A Port St. Lucie this season. He's a former undrafted free agent signing by the Mets as well last year. Clay Holmes, you just said that he made his rehab start for AAA Syracuse. If you can repeat that line one more time.
2 1/3, 2 runs hits, 2 strikeouts, 2. I remember a lot of 2s. There was a lot of 2s.
Okay.
2 1/3. I can get
so
the exact
it looks
number
like
in a
he is going to need at least one more rehab start before that activation. We'll see how that interacts with the timeline of the trade deadline. He has been silent on the IL since the middle of May due to a right fibula fracture.
One sec.
Speaking of,
I have it if you want it. The updated, the full line: 2 1/3, 3 hits allowed, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks.
okay, so I'm gonna guess it was like 60 pitches or something like that, 70 pitches.
51 pitches, 28 strikes.
Okay, 51 pitches. All right, so that makes sense. Kind of evened out to his 45 pitch bullpen session he had earlier this week. Okay, so Mike Tauchman, remember him? He continued his rehab assignment for Double-A Binghamton yesterday, went 1 for 3 with a single and a walk. He's been sidelined and on the injured list since the end of spring training, recovering from torn meniscus surgery in his right knee. Zach Wenninger made his 15th start of the year for AAA Syracuse on Tuesday. Used a lot of bullets in little time. 3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts on 78 pitches. Their 4th overall prospect who could be making his debut after the deadline when they do sell off pieces. Okay. So there's one other guy in discussion with trade rumors, and that has been Francisco Lindor. We kind of pushed this down the line. Didn't really talk about it 2 episodes ago. Last episode, it kind of just overlapped in the time, but considering we are on an off day here, we will we'll just talk about it as of right now with Francisco Lindor. Listen, Francisco Lindor has been a controversial topic for his entire tenure as a New York Met, and it will probably never change. He'll never win over this fan base. But in terms of a technical standpoint of them possibly trading him, there was a report given out by Will Salmon a few days ago talking about the possibility of Lindor getting traded, saying while the possibility exists that the New York Mets end up trading Francisco Lindor, multiple executives across the industry describe the chances as unlikely. The Mets are listening to offers for nearly any one of their players. Lindor is not among the expectations. Any team that expresses interest in the star shortstop, however, would have a clean, high bar. The Mets viewing Lindor as a valuable player is one reason people with knowledge of the situation don't see a trade happening. There are a handful of other reasons too. Chief among them being that Lindor, 32 years old, owns trade veto power and is owed more than $160 million after this season through 2031. New York does not hold a particular interest in paying down Lindor's contract in a potential trade because, in its view, he is still part of the winning team next year. Lindor declined to comment when The Athletic brought up has no trade power during a recent conversation, as the 10-year veteran who has played for the past 5 consecutive seasons with the same team also holds veto power over any trade because of the 10-5 rights. So here's the deal with Francisco Lindor possibly getting traded. I've already said this already, and I'm going to repeat it again. In terms of team building, in terms of the cornerstones of premium positions, we know that the premium positions are up the middle. Catcher, shortstop, center field. If you're going to trade away a premium position on a team that is trying to compete in 2027, their words, not mine, you better, and I mean you better, have a definitive answer for shortstop. And in my opinion, you don't have one. You just do not have one. And to be honest, I believe that Francisco Lindor still has 2, 3, possibly 4 more 30-30 seasons left in his career. I do believe that. And for, of course, the overall discourse of him not being an elite player, on the decline, mental mistakes, a problem in the clubhouse, I just don't see it possibly happening. I still see him as a superstar in this game. He hasn't had a good year. He's been banged up for most of it. And to be honest, it gives you a complete example where Lindor has actually been hitting well in the last 10 games, and his stats have fluctuated over a 700 OPS, where it seemed like he was even touching 650 at one point. That's how little he has played this year. Trade him at his lowest value. Don't get a definitive answer for shortstop. Like what you were saying when they were selling off pieces. I don't care if it's 7 shortstops or whatever. None of those guys are going to be your, bona fide start. Because, again, what is your best trade option right now? Brazaban? Is that going to give you a top-notch shortstop prospect? No.
Well, not Brazaban.
Even Max Scherzer.
He got you.
Couldn't get you.
He got a lead shortstop.
He got you Luis Angel Acuna, who's barely a shortstop, and sucks.
Well, it didn't at the time.
That was the best. No, he sucked at the time.
Just didn't like little people.
So again, in terms of what you are trying to do and building for 2027, their words, how does it make sense to move Francisco Lindor? I know he's a problem in the clubhouse. He's terrible. He's an awful human being. His wife runs the clubhouse. And, you know, he is just a full-on cancer wherever he walks. What's also funny is just like where this is getting completely advertised by Mets fans. Oh, he's cancer. He's terrible. He's awful. He's a terrible human being. So who would want that in their clubhouse? Like, give me an answer. Like, if you were to come from another angle with this, I'm not even looking at chat right now. If you were to come from another angle of this, why would anyone want Francisco Lindor if he's a problem?
Because he's a problem in the Mets clubhouse. He doesn't like Juan Soto.
He's a problem in the Mets clubhouse.
Other teams don't
exactly.
have Juan Soto. So he's fine. They don't have Juan Soto on their team, so it's already better.
But either way, it's just like, again, at this point, if you're looking to compete in 2027 with Juan Soto on this roster, you're going to trade a premium position in shortstop where there's not many and not many options. And I'll go over those options because I listed every single one of them on Twitter last week for anybody that wants to check it out. Okay, he's a problem. Okay, find me the solution then. What's the solution? This is called, in terms of team building that wants to compete in 2027, how does it make sense to trade Francisco Lindor? Andrew, you're the trade guy. You're the GM guy. Explain to me how it makes sense if you're trying to compete next year with Juan Soto on your roster to trade Francisco Lindor at his lowest value when he's a complete clubhouse cancer. And I don't think anybody wants a clubhouse cancer. And he's declining, and he's a terrible player. And also, you know, he's also the next dictator in baseball history. How does it make sense? Please let me know how it makes sense, because to me, I don't get it.
If this is not a deadline conversation. This is an off-season conversation. Because best case scenario for the Mets is he plays the rest of the second half. He's already started to get hot. Let him get hot in the rest of the second half, and then reconfigure. If they are hell-bent, you know, as you said, you're not looking at the chat. There's some funny things in the chat. There's some dumb shit. But it doesn't make sense.
I caught up.
Yeah, there you go. It doesn't make sense unless they are hell-bent on, like we've talked about it, absolutely just killing this Lindor team in the sense of, this is Juan Soto. If you don't mess with Juan Soto, get the hell out of here. You already got rid of the guys last year. And even still, the best case scenario, again, let him play the rest of the season. Hopefully, again, he's looking more and more like himself. And you figure out, again, where you find the addition, it's going to have to be a prospect. And again, you're banking on prospects. And that's the only way that happens. Yeah. It doesn't make sense in their heads if they're trying to compete, which I think is horseshit. But again, if you're trying to compete next year, you know, like you said, there's no addition or no even downgrade that could be respectable to at least give some value out there.
Here's how I look at it, and I'll let you continue to go. Here's how I look at it. It's like, if you're going to have Juan Soto on this team, and your answer is Ronnie Mauricio at shortstop at a premium position, how does that make you better? You don't even give him a chance at all in general. Like, literally, I'm not going to sit here and watch the Mets waste another year of Juan Soto's prime with Ronnie Mauricio at shortstop and the infield depth being Pussy Got Power Beatty. It's just not going to happen. You can't accept that. And yes, I know David Stearns got rid of your favorite homegrown players. I get it. Yeah, he got rid of all of your homegrown babies. Your pasty face, happy-go-lucky guys. So likable, so beautiful, so pixie. Francisco Lindor is a superstar in this game. Pete Alonso isn't. Brandon Nimmo isn't. Jeff McNeil isn't. Francisco Lindor, whether people like it or not, will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I still believe that, again, he still has good years back into it. He still has good years left in him.
Yeah.
Also talking about it from this year, where he's had no spring training, getting a surgery on a hamate bone, an injury that affects the power of a guy's bat. Then he gets hurt again. Of course he's not going to produce the way that you don't expect him to. And that's probably one of the main reasons as to why this team is sinking, because Francisco Lindor got hurt. The way that this fan base treats him is a joke. And to be honest, I'll tell you right now, I would say it's even worse than what Beltran went through. But that's a story for another day. Again, in the offseason, if you're looking at this in a different light, to be honest, I'm just saying, like, if you're trying to compete in 2027 and you look at these options, you're going nowhere with the shortstop position. You're going nowhere with the shortstop position if you don't have Francisco Lindor as your opening day shortstop in 2027. You guys want the rundown? I'll give you the rundown. Andrew, you can finish off any thoughts you want, but I'll get into the rundown as to what I'm talking about with this being a premium position.
Yeah. I guess, again, how it could make sense, and the only way that I could think about this making sense is that certain two-word phrase. And if they're not giving you any outlier of, like, giving you, which I would think if that two-word phrase comes in, you would have a 3-year window to get under it if you like for the big teams. But let's say they get stupid and they don't. That's the only way that you do this. And again, you're just making yourself worse. And again, like you said, you're not trying to compete next year. So it doesn't make sense. And again, you're not trading him now with his value diminished. Especially you're going to sell him at 30 cents on the dollar. This is an off-season discussion, even if this is a discussion. And like you said, this fan base is weird, and again, they glorify a fat tub of lard who does nothing, has done nothing besides that one homer.
He meditates during home run derbies.
He meditates during home run derbies, and he makes funny faces because he's dumber than a box of rocks. But when they're gifted a guy who has all the talent in the world, 5'2" athlete, he's a great player, right? Superstar. It's weird again because he's a great player. He's a better player again. On the planet, but he gets all the shit because, again, he makes the most money. That's just how it is. Like, if Jalen Brunson...
And yes, you expect that. You do.
And if Jalen Brunson, again, correlate to a winner, like, if it's all on Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson sucks this year, the fan base is going to turn. Even if he won him a championship, you know what his fan base in New York is. So, it's psychopath gremlins that cheer for this team. And it's pathetic that, again, they are so... Well, there's reasons for it. I'm not going to get into it, but it's sad that this fan base is glorified, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But when you're given an actual superstar, you are ready to ship him out of here and degrade him
because he's not one of our own.
Exactly.
He's a Clevelander.
And go ask. And this is a small. I'm gonna just. We talk about the homegrown shit. Yeah, how many homegrown Dodgers do they have? Do the Dodgers fans cry about Well, Shohei Ohtani's not homegrown. Freddie wasn't homegrown. Teoscar wasn't homegrown. No, but we act like we're a small market.
Again,
Cleveland.
I'm not trying to go the same route.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go the same route because, again, I would seem like a hypocrite in this way because of when I'm talking about, when people go like, oh, McNeil and this, he has more home runs than this guy, and McNeil has a batting title, and he's been good for... Like, I'm not trying to say what that is, but the main reason as to why I'm saying this is, again, you know me. I'm not someone who looks at pretty much anybody as untouchable. Once DeGrom left, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Anyone can go, right? At this point, I'm always looking to see how this team can get better, but how does it get better with Francisco Lindor off this team? What is it, just the morale? The vibes, because everyone thinks he's a cancer. Everyone thinks. They don't know. They've never been in the locker room. And to be honest, with how some of you, in terms of how people act on social media in their terms of average intelligence, they never find a way to get into that locker room. It's such a joke to me. I'm talking about this in technical terms. If you have a definitive answer for Francisco Lindor leaving at shortstop, go ahead, be my guest, and trade him. Go ahead and trade him. But here's what I'm talking about. Definitive answers. Major league players, non-prospects, which would also fall in the same category as Ronnie Mauricio. You want Ronnie Mauricio starting at shortstop for you next year? Go ahead and do it. Waste more of Juan Soto's prime. Let me tell you exactly what I'm talking about. The A's, they have Jacob Wilson. He was extended through 2032. Just extended this year. The Rays have Taylor Walls, replacement level bat. Boston Red Sox, Trevor Story, washed and always injured. He just sucks now. He's not good anymore. Andres Jimenez, signed through 2029, replacement level bat. Montgomery from the White Sox, control through 2032. The White Sox are also buying. Brian Rocchio from the Cleveland Guardians. Guardians are not selling. They likely will extend him on a team-friendly deal as well. Kevin McGonigal, extended through 2034. Jeremy Pena, he would be a one-year rental for you. Probably the most likely, right?
Probably.
Jeremy Pena is not to that level of Francisco Lindor. Also, defensive liability in some aspects. Bobby Witt Jr. from Kansas City, signed through 2034, pretty much untouchable. Zach Neto, control through 2029, defensive liability. Tristan Gray from the Twins, who's their starting shortstop right now.
He's bringing up 10.
Replacement level bat, defensive liability. Anthony Volpe from the Yankees. Replacement level bat. Seems to still not be able to throw a baseball. We already know Yankee fans can't stand Anthony Volpe, right? Colt Emerson, just extended through 2033. That's on Seattle. Corey Seager, currently injured, older than Lindor, longer contract than Lindor. Geraldo Perdomo, just extended through 2030, and the Diamondbacks might buy. Hae-Sung Kim, injured, free agent after this season, replacement level bat. Dansby Swanson from the Cubs, same age as Lindor, signed through 2029, Cubs are buying. Ellie De La Cruz, control through 2029, likely untouchable. Ezekiel Tovar from Colorado, replacement level bat in Colorado, signed through 2030. Mookie Betts for the Dodgers. Dodgers are not selling, obviously. One of the best teams in baseball. Older than Lindor, declining, and banged up. Otto Lopez, control through 2029. Marlins are likely buying. You have the division tax. Milwaukee, Cooper Pratt, just extended through 2033. Brewers are buying. Trey Turner from the Phillies, worse contract than Lindor, older than Lindor, division tax, Phillies aren't selling. Connor Griffin from the Pittsburgh Pirates, just extended through year 2034. Xander Bogaerts from San Diego, worse contract than Lindor, older than Lindor, declining bat and glove. Willy Adames, signed through 2031, struggling bat, defensive liability. Mason Wynn, control through 2029. Cardinals either are buying or staying put. Abrams. C.J. Abrams from the Nationals. Division tax. And the Nationals may buy at the deadline. The UFAs. You've got J.P. Crawford. You got Hae-Sung Kim. Mauricio Dubon, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Miguel Rojas. That'd be good, right? Jorge Mateo, Ahmed Rosario, reunite with him. Your internal options, you've got Ronnie Mauricio, right? You've got, maybe Brett Beatty can play a little bit of shortstop because he pretty much can play anywhere, right? Marcus Simeon, who's going to be what, 20, he's going to be 37. Jorge Polanco, who can't stay on the field. Bo Bichette, right? Who's statistically one of the worst defensive shortstops in all of baseball. Find your shortstop, Mets fans. Go ahead. Or does it just make sense, Andrew, to not trade Francisco Lindor?
Yes, until you get the number 1 overall pick next year. Then you can trade him.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The only guys I can say are the most possible are Gunnar Henderson
Abrams,
and Jeremy Pena. That's it.
Yeah, but the guys that are available. Yeah, the Rockies may
That's
listen
it.
on Tovar. Like there are options.
Again, like I said, if you can find me a solution, a definitive answer, a starting shortstop that can start day 1 in 2027, go ahead and trade Lindor. Who's going to? Who's going to? How do you replace Lindor's production? It's not like you're going to get Bobby Witt Jr. You're not. He just extended. They're not going to move him.
Well, Courtney,
so where exactly, who's playing shortstop for this team? Because even if you do get in a new shortstop, because again, you can bring in a new shortstop. It's not like Lindor is the only shortstop in the universe. Who is that going to be? Who's that going to be that doesn't waste Juan Soto's prime from a premium position? Tell me who that will be. Ha-Sung Kim. All right, cool. That'll be your shortstop. Awesome.
And then you trade for Brandon or sign Brandon Lau, and there's your offensive production.
Exactly, right? You move. No. You move. Another thing I've been seeing. You move Bo Bichette to shortstop, then you sign a third baseman, or you move Bo Bichette to shortstop so Brett Beatty can play every day, which he already does. Who's going to gimmick as a utility man if you put Beatty at third base, guys? Who's going to gimmick as a utility man? Mark Vientos? Come on now. Let's think. Let's use our brains here. So all of those possibilities I just listed, which are not even possibilities, barely, doesn't it make a little bit more sense to keep Francisco Lindor? Andrew? Zach Short. That's another one. I forgot. How could I forget the almighty Zach Short?
David Stearns loves Zach Short.
Yeah. And do you trust David Stearns to get the correct replacement? Because people don't again, it's not like Pete Alonso, who was replaceable at first base. You had Ryan O'Hearn. You had Murakami.
Contreras.
You could have took a swing at. You could have made a trade for Wilson Contreras. There were options for first base. It wasn't just, almighty polar bear. There was options there. They just did it the wrong way. So, who's going to replace Lindor? Because there's really no other options, and that's why we call it a premium position, because it's premium. Or maybe Francisco Lindor is an elite shortstop, one of the best in the game, one of the best of the generation, still a superstar in this game, and likely will be for another 2 or 3 years, whose season just got derailed. And if you're looking to compete for 2027, you probably should keep him. Right, Andrew? That makes sense, right?
Yeah, but again, David Stearns likes to have fun.
But hey, a reunion with Ahmed Rosario is really eyeballing me. I'm really liking the thought of that.
He does kill left-handed pitching, so
he really does, to be honest. And to be honest, I mean, I think this team needs more dumbasses on the base running paths, personally.
I guess in smaller, irrelevant other baseball news, the Tigers continue to win as they just went ahead of the Royals. So potentially Skubal now off the market does kind of help the Mets. Just in trade value. Again, David. Again, you have the market. You can roll the roast. Don't be an idiot. But knowing you love being an idiot, so you'll find a way to screw this
You
up.
choose to be an idiot when you don't have to be.
So we've hit the 2-hour mark.
Andrew, I mean, listen.
Oh, yeah, Dodger preview. Yes, we do have to preview. We have another series.
It's again.
Sadly.
Again, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get. I know why people don't like Lindor. I get it. I get that. But like from the technical standpoint of, trade him, he needs to go. Okay, for what? Sure, we can have this discussion. For what? Look at those options. I don't care. I just want him gone. Okay. So that's how you're going to treat a premium position? Everyone was so hell-bent on how you're replacing Pete. How are you replacing Pete? How are you... But hey, Lindor, get him out of here. I don't even care. Pay off his contract. Put a gun to his head. Tell him, hey, veto your no-trade clause. Just do all of this. Because we just have a little bit of an inkling. An inkling of a clubhouse we have never set foot in. That he is a problem in the clubhouse. That's why. Yeah, sure. Sure, why not? Let's do it full on speculation. And also, this is just basically showing you why stars don't want to come here. Also giving you an example of that. Why you have to go the extra mile. Why you have to do uprisers of $805 million to Juan Soto. Why the Dodgers will continue to one-up you for years and years to come. I don't get it. Andrew, I don't get it. I never will understand it. I know you know, we relish in the stupidity sometimes and we troll, we make jokes, but it's like, what do you get from this? Besides the idea of fans that just want him gone. Because they just believe, hey, let's scapegoat him. Let's scapegoat Francisco Lindor. I don't get it. And we're also just treating it like, oh, he's in decline. That's the reason why. He's in decline. Is he 42 years old? No, he's 32 years old. Meaning that he still has a couple more good years left. And he's even been showing you in the little time he's been playing. He's played pretty good. The team's just buried. This guy, Francisco Lindor, as fantastic he is, how fantastic of a player he is, he will never win with this fan base. Ever. I appreciate Francisco Lindor. Andrew, I know you do too.
Yeah. Just want to check.
But continuing on with the message being sent, what does that do? Again, if you have a solution, show it to me. Show me one. I'm giving you the floor. But the solution is no, get rid of him, he's a communist. Great reasoning. That's fantastic reasoning. And to be honest, political beliefs, in my opinion, Andrew, is the perfect way to run a baseball team. I wonder if the Dodgers ever deal with stuff like this. They probably do every single day, right?
Well,
or no, they just go out there on the field and win.
You say that there. Probably today was not to say about the Dodgers with that, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, normally that doesn't matter. But yeah, there was something today that came out about that, so probably not the right day to say it. But yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, just checking Savant. I mean, technically, he is in decline according to Savant, so those people are correct. The Savant
he really
There's
is in decline.
A lot more blue than red.
If I have a injury to my lower body, I probably can't perform at a high level for a premium position that
just take some
is
steroids.
so demanding. I have an injury that'll affect my power, and I also have an injury that in my lower body that'll affect, my speed and maybe me defensively. And still somehow he's still a positive value player this year. while dealing with that crap. And you never hear any crap about it, do you? You never do. All you hear about the Dodgers is they win. It's a fucking joke, man. It's a joke. He hasn't even had 200 plate appearances this year. And you expect him to perform under shape up or shape out? Like, just, it's ridiculous. How can I even say so? I mean, listen, he's had 6 home runs over 42 games. That's 21 homer pace. So below the 30 mark. And I'm sure it'll probably be lower in the stolen base category. Makes sense. But it seems like he's starting to heal. He's playing well. Doesn't really matter. The team's awful. But how are you getting better? How are you getting better by getting rid of Francisco Lindor? You could have got better by getting rid of Nimmo and Alonso. And to be honest, I think the outfielder got better because the outfield is the biggest highlight of this team. You could have got better and a better team, better depth in the lineup, but they chose to go a different route. It didn't work. But how are you replacing, like I said, a premium position? I can go the same for even somebody that drives me nuts in Francisco Alvarez, in catcher, up the middle. What are you replacing Francisco Alvarez with? Because these are called premium positions. So maybe if you have premium positions, you should keep them to build a team, especially when you have Juan Soto here. Andrew, as you ponder that, enjoying, I'm going to guess, a good cookie.
A warm-ass chocolate chip cookie.
Okay. Wouldn't blame you. Wouldn't blame you for the facial expressions there. Wouldn't it make sense to keep premium positions that you don't really have much of a supply on? Or are we just going to say, well, this is going to be our future shortstop?
I mean, again, like we're giving this way too much. Again, too much time in the sense that
it just doesn't make any sense.
It's all like, and here's the craziest part. It's not, and this is, I saw this. It's like, this isn't the big guys. Like, this is the scum reporters and damn well content creators that are on this on the internet. When everyone who actually is relevant, Salmon, Rosenthal, the only 2 guys to trust, Heyman, he's a RB shill. We don't care about Heyman. Unless it's Boris Klein's, but
apparently he's a Yankee cuck. Have you heard this?
On the Twitter sphere, like, and this is just it's engagement. Like, again, it's all engagement. And then there was 2 things that, if one thing he could have done to kill this, and then 2, what the Mets did to light this whole thing on fire when they put out that 5-player list. Who's not on it? And then what we were going to talk about 2 weeks ago when they asked him about it, and instead of giving the normal default player, I'm okay, I want to be here answer, he decided to do what people normally in
his
other
representatives
sports
say he prefers to be with the Mets and he wants to be here and win here, and he has no desire to waive his no trade clause. Yeah,
but if we watch athletes, when you're in front of the media, when that question is that, are you willing to move your no trade clause? You don't go no comment, because most players, when they do no comment, are looking to get moved. And you open the can of worms when you play for this team you cannot open. You could have been like, no, I love it here. I have a no trade clause for a reason. I want to be here. I'm here to make
and that's another aspect of it.
That's all he had to say. But with him just going no comment, you gave the internet of nerds and scum the ability, and then the Mets themselves not putting him on that trade list. Even if you want to listen, fine. You still give the shilling ability of he's untouchable. You are letting this fire that you don't need on a season that has been a clusterfuck. You are giving them extra ammunition and gas on a fire that did not need to be started.
That's the thing.
So this is self.
And we said the same thing about Freddie Peralta too, with the trade market with him.
Yeah, that's different in a sense that, like, again, Lindor could have just ended this right then and there, and he just goes no comment. And we know, if we watch sports, when players say that, you give ammo to people who have agendas, and this is all agenda based. You give them the opportunity.
And again, listen, the catcher position, like, again, I'm not defending that Alvarez should be here, but what I'm just saying is that there's not many options at catcher to where you're like, oh yeah. And listen, I know who you're talking about, Doug. I know who you want, but there was literally just a report that Hunter Goodman, Adley Rutschman, and Shea Langoliers are unlikely to get moved. So, like, again, it's I don't believe there's things about Alvarez that drive me completely nuts. We know that Alvarez, again, catching different aspect of development, a lot different. Some of these guys come into their own closer to their 30s than their 20s. Alvarez is 24 years old. He still has a lot to learn. And to be honest, again, I'm not putting the stamp on him, but I'm just saying the catching position, all the good catchers are held on by teams. So, again, I don't know. Like, who Ryan Jeffers, is that, like, that's it? But the Mets aren't going to just sit here and buy. They're going to stick with Alvarez. And then they also like Luis Torrens. So, again, they're going to listen on that. But, again, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me in the direction that you're possibly going. And this is more of the discussion of, like, oh, we're having baseball in 2027. Because that's another factor. But, like, you know, I don't see where trading Francisco Lindor puts you in a better direction going forward. If there is a solution, let me know. If there's some shortstop I didn't list off there, let me know. But there isn't. Because if you're going to give me a prospect, like, who's the best shortstop prospect in the...
Franklin Urias from the Red Sox.
Okay.
No, Jesus Mate. What the fuck am I talking about? Jesus Mate.
Jesus Mate.
What the fuck am I talking about?
You're going to tell me that's it? That's your answer?
I mean...
He's a good player. He could be a good player.
If Milwaukee's putting him on the table, Lindor, go enjoy Milwaukee. But that's not realistic. But yeah.
Let's just say that we're going to say, oh, yeah, a prospect's going to do it. A prospect is going to do it. But everybody else complains of, like, oh, we have, a mind of a prospect replacing Nimmo. Or a prospect replacing Alonso. No, that can't happen.
It's
the non-superstars.
We talk about all this. He has all the power. So we're yapping.
Yeah, that too. That's not even been said.
Again, it's not happening. So we're wasting. We wasted 35 minutes talking about something that is not happening. At least not happening. In 2 weeks. When
Let's talk about something that is happening. How about that?
Yeah.
That being the upcoming series against the Dodgers, which will likely knock you into 20 games under 500. Yeah. But hey, we're here to watch. We're not even going to really preview it. We're just going to say the matchups because not only are we running out of time, this team is terrible, right? This team's not good. There's nothing really to say in preview, and this Dodgers team is likely going to kick their ass. Game 104, game one of this series. Shelman will start the series opener. He'll face the hard-throwing 24-year-old right-hander Roki Sasaki. First pitch is tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time on Pix 11. Game 2, Noel McLean will get the start. He will face the defending World Series MVP, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. First pitch is Saturday night at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. And Game 3, Freddie Peralta will start the series finale, which maybe could be his final start as a New York Met. We don't know. He'll face the 26-year-old right-hander Emmett Sheehan. First pitch is Sunday afternoon at 1:40 p.m. Eastern Time on SNY. This Dodgers team is really good. They're probably going to sweep us. There's your preview, everybody. But listen,
you say this, but we do play the Dodgers well. hypothetically, we do play the Dodgers always well. So
Yeah.
even if we suck,
Yeah, I'm
we always
sure.
play the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
that's really gonna
Hey, we
cancel
almost
everything
beat the
out
Brewers.
there.
We almost won a series against the Brewers. Anything is possible.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And hey, the Dodgers just beat the Phillies, obviously playing in Philadelphia. Which what an easy way travel wise to come out of the All-Star break. New York, Philly, New York. I mean, they're two good teams in the Mets. But yeah, I mean,
Philly, Milwaukee, New York is our
exactly.
Move.
But
yeah.
again, you could stay at the same hotel.
We're
if you
playing
want.
the 3 teams we played in the playoffs.
Exactly.
2
The
years
Dodgers
ago.
did not play well, and I get the difference. The Phillies have Zach Wheeler, and they had Christopher Sanchez, Zach Wheeler pitching. We don't have that, but again, it's the Dodgers. And they're gonna do inappropriate things. And here's another thing, just to have more fun. Take a guess who's coming off the injured list, most likely on Friday.
Juan Diaz. The trumpets will sound. Do you think they'll give him the trumpets?
No, they didn't give DeGrom Simple Man. If they give Diaz the trumpets without giving DeGrom Simple Man, I'm going to throw it. I'm going to find David Stearns, and he's going in a box. No, we didn't. He gets his video package.
Will Smith is hurt.
Will Smith is hurt, yes. Dalton Rushing
Will Smith is hurt. Glasnow's hurt. Surprise. Blake Snell's been out all year.
Yeah. He'll be back next week, though.
Gavin Stone's out. They have a lot of relievers on the injured list, like they usually do, and it doesn't really seem to affect them because they're the Dodgers. And anything that happens will go their way.
And Joe Davis on the call on Saturday, which is great.
Yeah,
but
Joe Davis on the call. So make sure to tune in here. That's where I just wanted to go. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday afternoon for watch-along coverage of the Mets versus Dodgers series, hosted by the newest members of Mets Weekly, Evan and Matt. First pitch, 10 minutes before 7 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow, 7:05 Eastern Time on Saturday, and 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, barring any delay that is needed for live play-by-play commentary, banter, out-of-pocket jokes, and some special guests along the way. It all starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow, Eastern Time, 10 minutes before first pitch. We hope to see you guys there, and hopefully we're able to make all 3 of them because the scheduling has been a little bit crazy for all of us.
Holmes's numbers on his pitches are out. If you care, Moreno put out the stuff. It looks pretty. It looks identical. Stuff look at least from his average. His stuff looks good. So on Clay Holmes.
All right, cool, awesome. One last thing I want to say. Did you know that former Met Jose Iglesias later this month, or next month, on August 27th, will be making his Broadway debut in New York City?
Sure.
He will be playing the role of the narrator in the Buena Vista Social Club, a Tony Award-winning show featuring music recorded by a musical ensemble. So he will be beginning, but he's going on Broadway. So he's still in New York. So maybe he'll be here to rally around this team in September, and we'll get back into the playoff race. What do you think, Andrew? He's still here.
He's still here.
So maybe we can bring him in here, and everything will be fixed, right?
I mean, it worked. You brought JD Martinez in the GM's position. So, yeah. Again, we'll be here for watch-alongs as well.
No comment about that?
No comment.
I thought you had a big essay you were going to
I mean,
okay.
the dude is living off, again, as anyone would, living off that past glory. Yeah, we'll be here for watch-alongs. Also, we sent out memberships, so there you hit the subscribe button. There's a button next to you. If you want all our stupid AI songs, we have 2 playlists on 2 levels. You get the PG version and you get the PG-13 version for $2.99 and $5.99. Correct? What's the $4.99 and $9.99?
It's $6.99 for the standard,
base,
and then $12.99 for the premium. So we have not had a member yet, so if you want to be the first one,
there you go. You get you get some cool emotes, and obviously we'll put some extra content. We'll put some extra content there, as well as getting priority in live call-ins, and we do call-ins in the off season or back half of the season. So again, if you are new, and we have a lot of very good subscribers, maybe think about joining. And obviously we've had requests for the songs. You get to see the songs. You have your opportunity to enjoy our creations that we have made. Yeah. But yeah.
Some of them we can't put on there.
Some of them are just stupid, but at all. And
we're insane.
Yeah. So again, be here for watch-alongs. We'll have some chaos, and then obviously it's all leading to deadline day, which is for us is a holiday and is a yearly occurrence, and we have some approvals. We'll have more coming, and probably the dumbest, best stream we have all year is always the deadline. So having a bunch of other fellow Met content creators, but also, hey, David Stearns, let's move the market a little bit here, because if you start taking some pieces off the board, it raises the demand.
Well, they said
for
they're
going
to spread it out. They're not going to do it throughout, but they haven't done anything yet. I mean, they have sold off one piece to the Cubs.
And that was just an emergency.
Got a standing ovation yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah.
David Peterson, fantastic outing we saw from him.
And you didn't put it in rapid fire stories. The prospect that is somehow top 15 in our system is doing rehab today. He did his first rehab assignment. So.
Cole Mathis.
Cole Mathis is rehabbing today, getting back.
I usually don't do the minor league rehabs.
Probably going to be in A+ ball or AA. I don't know where they're going to.
Probably, yeah. It looks like he's getting assigned to High A Brooklyn.
High A Brooklyn.
So
I knew it was some a high A or AA. So that makes sense. But
we'll see. And also, one last thing: don't stub your toe, because I did that today, and it hurt. Anyways. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you guys are listening or watching on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. This is a little bit longer than we have usually gone because it is an off day, but make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. The links are in the description. Let's go, Mets. 10 days to the deadline. And as it all winds down, we will see you guys next time.